What is up, everybody? Welcome back to another edition of the NBA Hardwood Show. I'm Draftcheat hosting today and joined by the great BobbyGomes. What's going on, Bobby?
What's going on, DC? Not in Kentucky. That's what's going on. No party here, but we're trying to keep it going. Saturday, a little NBA DFS. Keep the heater going for RPS. How's it out in Co?
Good in Colorado. Beautiful day today. Yeah, I didn't make it out to Kentucky either. A lot of our crew, of course, partying it up, celebrating Big T's big wins, and keeping the heater going. Seeing the screenshots roll in, even though everybody's partying at on the basketball hoop and at Big T's, and still seeing those big screenshots. So it must have been a pretty fun night over in Kentucky.
Yeah, I saw that on. I think Big T had another win on FD last night. JSU second place in JSU and Hoop top 10, the 888. Pretty positive. Yeah, so that's a good weekend for RPS. Obviously, they're drinking the Chick Ultras, doing what else they're doing out there, and we're here, and we got to get into this 4-game NBA slate. DC, how are you kind of looking at it? How are you approaching it?
Yeah, as you mentioned, just a 4-gamer here, so we'll be kind of a fast and furious, and I'm sure the show won't take too long to dissect these 4 games. We did see kind of the nuts come from the Golden State game last night. Obviously, Andrew Wiggins was a key component to most winning lineups. He's going to get another chance to do it, right? Steph Curry remains out, so we'll talk about that game second. Again, only 4 games to talk about, and then Philadelphia obviously still without Joel Embiid, which changes a lot, especially when you get a matchup, against Sacramento. So I think to kick us off, it's a pretty interesting game there. Charlotte and Clippers, out west to end it. Again, I think some pretty good plays in all 4 of these games. So it looks like, at least for a 4-game slate, pretty decent. I know a lot of people kind of focused in on March Madness right now, but plenty of money to be won in the NBA streets, right?
Yeah. No, exactly. Andrew, you kicked it off at the top. You're like, Andrew Wiggins was pretty much a linchpin for all winning lineups last night. Usually don't hear that. Now we get that 2 nights in a row.
Yeah.
That's like 2 words that don't end up in the same sentence pretty much. But now we get that 2 nights in a row where Wiggins is going to be very chalky.
Sure.
Curry out. Obviously seen a ton of usage last night. Trying to figure out what to do with him and Jordan Poole in tournaments. They staggered them last night in that game. Oubre had seen less minutes. He was doubtful throughout the day. Maybe he's the pivot. I fully faded Andrew Wiggins last. I had good lineups, and I just fully faded Andrew Wiggins because I just don't go there. Maybe tonight's the night to kind of be off Wiggins.
Yeah. We'll talk about that one second. Let's kick it off with Sacramento and Philadelphia, which I do think is a really strong game to attack from a DFS purpose. Of course, on a 4-game slate, you can't really overlook any spot because you got to kind of nail it. If you miss like a stud play, it's going to be hard to make it up because there's just not that many options. So we'll start with Sacramento and Philadelphia, 230.5 total here. Philadelphia favored by 6, as I mentioned, still without Joel Embiid for another week or 2 at least, I think. And then Seth Curry also going to be out for the 76ers. Seth hasn't really been that DFS relevant this year, but I do think his absence, especially combined with Embiid's absence, this team starts to get pretty thin on scores if you take Embiid and Curry out of the equation. So, I think especially in this type of matchup, Ben Simmons looks like a pretty strong play to me. I'm very interested in Tobias Harris. His price is up, but I think he's going to have to carry a pretty big scoring load. Of course, you can look at guys like Shake Milton, I think, come into play. So I like to start it off the Philadelphia side of this game quite a bit.
Yeah, the Philadelphia side looks good. Simmons, just an overview on the slate, like Giannis chalk, Wiggins chalk, Simmons chalk. This isn't the greatest tournament slate, but
you'll see a lot of similar lineups out there, I think.
A lot of similar lineups, 4-game slate, and these are guys that have all busted as chalk in the past, just something to keep in mind. Simmons and Tobias, obviously great plays with them beat out. They get the usage bumps. The ancillary pieces I like as well going in Sacramento. Hopefully those guys don't get overlooked relative to the Jordan Pooles and the Damian Lee, which I think will definitely come in at higher ownership than the Philadelphia guys, mainly Korkmaz seen a huge bump the last time this situation came into light.
I don't think we know for sure who's going to start for Curry yet.
Yeah, you still need to find out. You still need starter. Yeah, we don't know who's going to start for Curry, and also we need starters for Philly. But like Korkmaz, Shake Milton, I think a sneaky guy would be like Tyrese Maxey. If he didn't play the second game,
he's been kind of out of the rotation recently.
Yeah, he hasn't really seen rotations, but like if you're playing large field stuff, maybe you take a shot just because like they have the guards with Healed, the Healed Fox. Like it's obviously just a large field GBP shot.
Sure.
Danny Green is another one whose defense would be needed, like just to guard Healed and Fox. So I see him as someone in tournaments who's relatively sneaky versus Sacramento team that can't guard the three. Then Dwight Howard's going to get a bump. I don't want to play Dwight Howard at 6K, but he's needed. Those are pretty much my thoughts on the Philly guys.
Yeah. Philly guy's really cheap on FanDuel. Ben Simmons 8,500. That seems like a nice discount. He's 9,100, I believe, on DraftKings. Furkan Korkmaz, like you mentioned, I like him in this spot. I don't know for sure if he'll start. I think he's in play either way. I guess I would slightly prefer if he's in the starting lineup just for the minutes upside, but I really think you can go to him whether he's or not, especially on FanDuel at min price, 3,500. That's just a huge discount there. I mean, Tobias Harris is in play there at 8,300. I think he's 88 or so on DK, and Dwight Howard is 5K on FanDuel as well, another discount. So Philly looks like a really, really good team to attack if you're playing over at FanDuel. Still good on DraftKings, but I just wanted to point out pretty much all of their guys that you might be interested in playing are cheaper over at FanDuel, which seems to be generally the case for most players tonight. So maybe not the biggest deal in the world. How do you kind of prioritize these Philly guys? You know, like I think you can play 2, 3, 4 of them maybe. We'll start at the top, kind of Simmons versus Harris. Do you have a preference between the two, and are you okay spending up for both?
Yeah, I'm okay spending up for both, just because they're playing. The usage increase is like tremendous, and they're also playing Sacramento. The matchup's great. I think I'd prefer Simmons to Harris. But I like both. Like I said, I like both. So that would kind of be my lean. How about you?
I think it's really close. So Simmons, I think, benefits more from the pace and kind of the lack of defense that Sacramento brings, and maybe his matchup is a little bit better. But I mean, Harris is more of a scorer, right? And I think with Curry and with Embiid out, that's kind of what they're truly missing. So I think it's close. I guess I'll slightly lean Harris. I've been kind of partial to him all year. He's performed well for me when I've rostered him in general. And I think he's got a good chance to, put up 30, 35 real points in this game. And then, whatever peripherals he gets are kind of the cherry on top of that one. But I certainly like both guys, have no problem playing them together. Dwight Howard, Tony Bradley, I assume Howard will come off the bench again, but usually he gets the majority of the minutes. He's been pretty solid. He should kind of have his way with this Sacramento interior. So he's a good play. Typically closes out games if it's close over Bradley. So kind of a weird situation there. But yeah, I think Howard certainly in play. So a lot of ways to go for sure from the Philadelphia side. What about Sacramento? Obviously lost Marvin Bagley. They're playing a tight rotation now. We're seeing, pretty much an 8-man rotation out of them. Big minutes pretty much every night from Fox, Healed, Harrison Barnes, even Rashawn Holmes' minutes have become more secure, even though Whiteside is back. And then Tyrese Halliburton hasn't been playing his best basketball, but certainly the minutes have been there, 32, 34 minutes in each of the last two in the starting lineup. I assume he'll be in there tonight. I think he's interesting if he can turn it around. I just think there's a number of ways you can go with the Sacramento side as well.
Yeah, like Fox, like Healed, would be like, I think Korkmaz started for Philly in the overtime the other night, so I think that would kind of lean to him. He may start tonight, like obviously, but like if Thibault was to hit the starting lineup, it might change my mind on Fox or Hill just because his defense has been very, very good.
Sure.
Yeah, I don't mind Barnes and like Halliburton as well. I think Halliburton was supposed to see like a minutes decrease last night, and his minutes like that never came to fruition. He played like 34 minutes. Yeah, so I don't mind any of these like Kings guys either on the other side with this being a 234.5 total. And we might get some of these Kings guys at lower ownership.
I think so.
Like just like the bigs that have to kind of like it would make more sense if Embiid was in, but trying to decide like if you're playing GPPs or large field stuff with like Whiteside or Bielitsa. Bielitsa saw no minutes last night. Does he see minutes tonight? Like maybe, because he didn't see, like he's seen a decrease in minutes last night, and Whiteside saw more minutes. Whiteside just back from an injury like 2 games ago. I don't know whoever's going against these guys in the second unit for Philly, like the big, like if it is Howard, like, and he's not starting, he's going to see a lot of Whiteside. Like I wouldn't mind him for that matter. Just like breaking down, like thinking from all instances of this game.
Yeah, I like Howard quite a bit. I think, Whiteside just over aggressive on defense. I think Howard should have some opportunities to clean up on the offensive glass, get some of those putbacks that are so beneficial.
I just don't know if I want to pay the $6K for Howard.
Sure, yeah, it's tough. It's tough to pay that on DraftKings. FanDuel, a little bit different story at 5K. I'm looking at just kind of building a FanDuel lineup while we talk about this game, and man, some of these prices. Wiggins is 5,200 on FanDuel. I assume in cash games he's going to be close to 100% ownership. I think the only people that don't have him will be people that just like overlooked him for whatever reason, in cash. Even in tournaments, I mean, really hard to avoid with stuff out. So yeah, pretty awesome game to kick us off. Any final thoughts on Philadelphia and Sacramento here?
No, that's pretty much it.
All right, we'll keep it moving to the next game on the slate, and that's the Golden State Memphis game. We've already referenced this one several times. They obviously played last night, and we'll run it back here. Memphis favored by 6.5. They were favored last night as well. 219 total. We saw, as previously talked about, big game, huge game from Andrew Wiggins. Jordan Poole started at point guard and played pretty well. I expect the same thing. The kind of the metrics backed him up. He had the basketball a lot in his hands. I thought it might be Mannion that got the start, but it was Poole who kind of ran the show there, along with, of course, Draymond Green, who put up like almost 40 fantasy points with 2 real points scored. Pretty much only Draymond can have those type of games, right? It's ridiculous. I was a little bit worried about Draymond and just kind of the offense sputtering out without Steph, because he just changes so much, but they still ran basically everything through Draymond Green. So I do think he's a solid play. I don't think he's a must, but definitely solid. Kevon Looney, Eric Pascal, James Wiseman all out. So Golden State, along with Steph Curry, of course, which is a big one, but Golden State very thin, at center and in the front court. I think this game stays close. They're going to need Draymond out there for as many minutes as he can handle.
Yeah, I'm with you on pretty much them needing Draymond if the game stays close. What I would be worried about is on the back-to-back, if they just kind of go easy on his minutes, even if the game gets out of hand, they just totally go away from him. But like you can't really predict that. And obviously, like he's probably the most dominant. He isn't the most dominant in terms of usage rates. It would be Wiggins and Poole after last night. Obviously, extremely small sample size, but Draymond, obviously, they're still running stuff through him. I like, for me, it'd be Poole, Wiggins. I like Damian Lee at 3-4. Like he's someone I could see playing. Toscano Anderson, 3,600. These guys all kind of give you leeway to get up to Giannis, which I think is like pretty much probably optimal construction, trying to get up to Giannis on this 4-gamer. These Golden State guys are going to be pretty chalky.
It'll be interesting to see what Golden State does in the front court, because they're just so thin there. Missing, like they had Kevon Looney last night, who played, I think, 23 minutes. Now he's out too. So they're missing Wiseman, Looney, Pascal. Marcus Chris has been out for a while. So I think Draymond Green is going to have to play a bunch of minutes at center in this one. So a couple things. I think that helps him some, right? More rebounding opportunities. I don't think it changes that much for him. And then who's going to play the backup center? They've got this guy who hasn't, I don't think he's played like one. Yeah, he played 2 minutes. Alan Smaligic, 20-year-old, he's minimum price. They recalled him from the G League where he was only playing like 17 minutes a game. So I'm guessing he will play in this one. Even at 3K, I don't think you need the value. Like you mentioned, I think they're going to kind of move people up, right? Oubre, I think, can probably play the 4 against Memphis. You get Wiggins to the 3, and then you just kind of play more guards. I think Draymond probably takes the large majority of center minutes tonight. Is that the way you see it?
Yeah, and that being said, like if they're going to go small like that, Valanciunas is another really great spot.
That's what I'm wondering, man. That's kind of what I was getting at. Is
if they're going to
Draymond is a terrific defender, but mostly what he's good at is he's able to switch 1 through 5, right? That's kind of what he's kind of unique in that way.
Yeah,
I don't really know if he can guard Valanciunas 1v1 in the post, though.
Yeah, no, I think that became an issue last night. Valanciunas was smashing for a good bit of that game.
Yeah.
So yeah, if it stays close, and where are we looking at Valanciunas for ownership right now? I'm just trying to figure that out.
Yeah, I'm not sure. I mean, he's coming in 7,700 on DraftKings. He's 7.3K on FanDuel. FanDuel's tough because you can only play one center, and Dwight Howard at 5K looks really enticing to me. But Valanciunas, I think, has monster upside here. You just never know with the minutes, but man, I mean, he's got 6 inches on Draymond Green, and then he could possibly be in there against that 20-year-old rookie who looks just thin as a beanpole. So I like Valanciunas quite a bit here. I assume he'll have some ownership, but I don't think it'll be crazy.
Yeah, 1 point spread. I like Valanciunas too. 18 to 20%. Maybe you're getting him around. So
it's not too bad on a 4-game split.
Yeah, it's not too bad on a 4-game split. Don't mind me some Valanciunas.
Let's talk about Oubre and Wiggins. Wiggins, 5,200 on FanDuel. I think you just play him there. He's going to be super popular, but it's really hard outside of like a complete blowout or something. I really do think he's going to get there in the end. 6,300 on DraftKings is still just way too cheap for what Wiggins should provide, but he will be massively popular. I think if you're fading Wiggins, you almost have to play Oubre and hope it's like Oubre that does more of the damage. I didn't watch that game last night. I don't know if you saw it. Oubre was doubtful to play and then played only 29 minutes, which was a little bit weird considering how shorthanded they were. I don't know. Did you see the game? Did Oubre look okay? I'm kind of worried they just kind of played him because they needed to.
Yeah, so I watched a little bit of the game, and up until like the end of the first half, and then the second half, Oubre like went stagnant, and I wasn't really watching the game. So, but I was watching his points because I rostered him over Wiggins, and regrettably so, rostering him over Wiggins. Yeah, he didn't really do much.
He wasn't ticking upward on your DraftKings app when you were refreshing.
What'd you say?
His points weren't going upward on the DraftKings.
They weren't doing anything for a good whole third quarter, just staying as stagnant as they could possibly stay. So, yeah, Wiggins crushed, and he's chalked tonight. I don't play a ton of Andrew Wiggins, but he looks like he's in a great spot. I just would proceed with caution, though, personally.
Yeah, I get it. I'm still leaning kind of playing Wiggins. He'll be in my core plays tonight, which of course, along with several other members of the crew, will be up on runpeersports.com. You can sign up for the premium package over there. Use HEATER25, little promo code in honor of our boy Big T. Will get you 25% off your first payment at Run Peer Sports, and you can use that for a little a Manscaped subscription package, if you will. HEATER25 again, get you 25% off any Manscaped.
Don't use the Manscaped on your face, guys. That's Mangone was saying he used it on his mustache, and
what?
It's like counterintuitive.
It's built purposely for below the belt grooming. So yeah, be smart with that Manscaped product. But awesome stuff from them, and of course from everyone here at Run Peer Sports. We haven't talked much about the Memphis side. Both of us seem pretty interested in Jonas Valanciunas. Anyone else? John Morant at 7,200. He was awful against Golden State and really hasn't been very good at all. 18.5 fantasy points if you paid for him. That certainly didn't work out. The matchup seems pretty good, but it's hard to roster Morant even at this discount, at least for me. Or are you willing to kind of take what I assume will be a very low-owned Morant here?
Yeah, so for me, like, haven't been able to get John Morant right all season. It's obviously a good spot. I'm probably not going to have too much. I do like Grayson Allen. He didn't play like the fourth quarter last night. He could see 30 minutes. He's down at like 3,700. He would be a pivot off some of these Golden State guys for me, especially in a 1-point spread. And he's a shooter too, right? Like these Golden State guys are shooting lights out last night. I just don't know if that can continue. And then you have Grayson Allen, who's going to be lower owned. And I don't know. I like the spot for Grayson Allen. I think he's a good play. And he should see more run tonight if this game stays close, which the line's indicating it should. So I like Grayson Allen a bit. I'll probably have him in my core, I would say.
Cool. Yeah, I think you'll get him at somewhat low ownership. Any interest in the Golden State kind of cheap guys? So we think Wiggins, Poole are going to be chalk for good reason. I think people will be on Oubre some. Any interest in like the Nico Mannion, Toscano Anderson? Because again, they do have one more guy out, so a few more minutes to go around there.
Yeah, I could see myself playing some Toscano, right? Like
that's kind of the guy I'm looking at the most. But
the one issue to me would be like, I know Zeller's out for the Charlotte. So like, is Biyombo going to see minutes? But Biyombo hasn't seen minutes, and they've been playing PJ Washington. So yeah, I'd prefer Toscano like over Biyombo. I wouldn't even wait on that news.
That makes sense.
Yeah, I'd prefer Toscano. I like Toscano actually. They're going to need him versus Valanciunas if this game stays close, and he's in a really good spot. Yeah, that would probably be it. I don't like Brad Wanamaker is terrible. Never want to play him. Nico Mannion, like maybe, like just as everyone else people played him last night because he was hitting projections and hitting optimals, even though he wasn't starting. He was just terrible. Yeah, maybe you could go there. I didn't play him.
Yeah, tough for me to go there. I mean, he only played 14 minutes last night. Toscano Anderson, I think, only played 8 or 9.
Bazemore's old on the back-to-back. I don't know.
Yeah, Damian Lee, kind of the other guy, I guess I would consider 28 minutes last night.
Yeah, Damian Lee.
And like we talked about, with Draymond playing more and more minutes at center, what I think is going to happen is everybody moves up. Oubre, Wiggins kind of slide up to the 3 and the 4 instead of the 2 and the 3, which I think will open up minutes for Damian Lee to play even more minutes. That's at least how I see it going down. I think Draymond's almost, I wouldn't say certain, but to me, very likely to start at center. And then maybe Toscano Anderson starts, but I think Damian Lee almost has to play 25 to 35 minutes in this one. So he would be the guy off the bench, assuming he comes off the bench, that I'd be looking at for the Warriors.
Yeah, I think that's a really good call with Damian Lee.
Yeah. 3,400 in DraftKings, pretty nice price point there. 2 more games to talk about. Before we do, just a reminder, hit that like, hit that subscribe on the channel. It really helps us bring you these free NBA shows 7 days a week. Appreciate you guys listening as always, but help us out with that like and subscribe. Let's go to San Antonio and Milwaukee. Obviously, LaMarcus Aldridge, kind of just off this team at this point. DeJounte Murray and Patty Mills also going to sit out. San Antonio did get DeMar DeRozan back in their last game after he had missed some time with personal stuff going on in his life. So he's interesting. I think he's going to be the primary playmaker on the Spurs. Derek White also probably very much in play. And then for Milwaukee, they did just acquire PJ Tucker. We'll see how he's kind of integrated into the offense. And of course, when you're talking about the Bucks, kind of starts and stops with Giannis, right? Who, as always, should have a pretty monster game here. Milwaukee favored by 11, 229 total. I think pretty big risk of a blowout here. The Spurs don't seem like they should be able to compete, but you never know. 11 points isn't the biggest spread in the world. Certainly you would expect Giannis to go off in this one.
Yeah, I'm with you. I think Giannis is the spend in cash in tournaments. It's a 4-game slate, so it's kind of hard to say he's not the play. But maybe you could do double studs or just try to if you're trying to be different, just fade him. Not totally, but I wouldn't fade him totally. I'd probably be with the field if I was playing enemy.
Sure.
Yeah, I don't know. I just for me, this is just a difficult game in general. I hate playing Giannis. I personally just hate this slate. I don't like playing Ben Simmons. I don't like playing Giannis. I don't like playing Andrew Wiggins. Like all these guys, just guys I don't like to play. And you have to make decisions on them. For me, yeah, Giannis, if it blows out, he's a great, if it doesn't blow out, it's a great play. It looks like it might blow out. Not in the business of predicting blowouts. Think he's the best play on the slate, but don't love him. Chris Middleton, like none of these prices have changed. Like maybe Drew Holiday at 6,500 is someone you could say you want to play. Like I like Drew, but you're going to see him around like 20%. Like this game could blow out. I don't know. What are you seeing? Do you see anything?
Yeah, I mean, I play a ton of Giannis. If he gets some minutes, he goes off like pretty close to 100% of the time. So he's strong here. I'm worried about a blowout in this game for sure. I do think DeRozan is interesting with both Mills and DeJounte Murray out. We saw in DeRozan's return, he didn't have the best fantasy score, but he did return as kind of the co-primary ball handler playmaker next to DeJounte Murray. So in that game, DeRozan had 7 assists, 15 potential assists, and then second on the Spurs in that game was DeJounte Murray with 11 potential assists. So you take Murray off the court, and I think you're going to see an Aldridge off the court. I think you're going to see DeMar DeRozan be the point guard in this game for basically every minute that he's on the court. And, he came back and he played 36, 37 minutes. He obviously wasn't hindered by that time off that he took. I don't love this matchup for DeRozan, but I do think he's got access to a big game. I think we might get him a little bit low owned given they're big underdogs. And, DeRozan's not cheap. 8,400 on DraftKings is about as expensive as you see DeRozan. So I kind of like him as a tournament play a little bit. I don't think he is, he's risky for sure, 8,600 on FanDuel, but I do think he's got potential for, I think they need him to have a 30 real point and, 13 assist game, something like that. I don't know what DeRozan's assist props are, but I would bet the over on those, assuming they're anything, lower than 10, which I'm guessing they are. I think DeRozan is going to have the ball in his hands a ton in this game. And I think he's going to get 10 plus assists in this one. So I do like him a little bit, especially if you're playing Giannis, because those two's minutes are tied together, right? If in tournaments, if this game stays close, I think you'll see close to 40 minutes out of both Giannis and DeRozan. So I do like that a little bit in tournaments. Keldon Johnson, good young player for the Spurs, coming off kind of a career game for him against Cleveland, but I don't love him as much against the interior of Milwaukee, right? It's going to be Giannis and Brook Lopez and those guys kind of guarding him. I don't love that. So I'm kind of looking at mostly DeMar DeRozan here.
Yeah, like you can make a case for Derek White, obviously at 5'9".
Yep.
He's going to be a guy in cash that people are going to look to. I like Jacob Podol. Sure. They're going to need his size, obviously, and he's just a good. He would be like my favorite Spur, but I also understand. I think DeRozan's a really sharp call as well. Yeah, Derek White, just 5'9". It's good. It's a great price. Like he's underpriced for the situation. He's another guy. This is like the culmination of all the guys I don't like to roster coming together as chalk on one slate.
Perfect slate for you.
Perfect slate.
Any idea what DeRozan's ownership is going to come in at?
I would think it's going to be around 10 to 15%.
Yeah,
maybe.
That's pretty nice on a 4-game slate. So I might try to get some DeRozan into my lineups. All right, let's jump to
DeRozan. It makes, if he's going to play point, I don't hate it. I get it.
Yeah, he's going to be the point guard in this game. I can't guarantee he's going to have a great game, but I'm pretty damn sure he's going to have the ball in his hands a ton. So I do like the DeRozan play, although he's going to have to deal with that Drew Holiday defense, which is never fun. Anyway, let's go to Charlotte and the LA Clippers to finish this slate off. Clippers favored by 9.5, 232 total here. We do know Cody Zeller going to sit this one out. And then for the Clippers, we know Beverly is out and waiting on Serge Ibaka. So possibly both starting centers primary centers out for both Charlotte and the LA Clippers, which changes things a little bit. Bismack Biyombo down at 3,300. Hasn't been playing a ton. Even when he started, it's kind of around 20 to 25 minutes, usually, sometimes more than that. And then I think you mentioned it earlier, PJ Washington. I expect him to get quite a bit of run at the 5. He's an interesting play. He's priced up on DraftKings, he's 5,800, which is a pretty steep price to play. 6,600 on FanDuel, same price as Draymond Green. That's an interesting tournament pivot there because I think Draymond's going to have way more ownership than PJ Washington. So you could kind of maybe make your optimal lineup, play the chalk if you want, and then slide PJ in for Draymond. Something like that could be a decent way to get somewhat different. But yeah, overall thoughts here on Charlotte and LA.
Yeah, I think that PJ Washington for Draymond calling FanDuel is very sharp. I like PJ Washington here. I feel like they're going to go small. Well, not really small, just move PJ to the 5. On DraftKings, 6/8's probably a little bit too expensive for his usage at the 4, but if you're playing with the 5, he does see an increase. So I do like PJ Washington a good bit on DK for this situation. Other guys I like on the chart, like I don't mind LaMelo at all. I think he's just a way to get different. It's obviously very congested, but you're taking out that Cody Zeller usage. So they're gonna maybe they move like Devontae Graham into the starting line. See, that could be an issue for Melo. I don't know. It's like if Graham moves into the starting lineup at 4 or 5, like I don't hate Graham. He's been absolutely horrible. That would be a long, like large field GPP play. I'm just thinking like long shot plays.
Yeah, I don't mind it.
My love in this game is more on the other side, like playing Paul George and playing Kawhi together. Like that's something like I think would be differentiated if everyone's just going to pay up for Giannis. I know this game has potential of blowing out too, but just a way to be different in tournaments.
Yeah, I think that makes a lot of sense. It's Paul George pretty cheap on FanDuel. I like him over there. I always like kind of catch and shoot guys against the Hornets who allow a ton of that. George would be the primary guy that I would expect to take advantage of that from the Clippers side. I think the Serge Ibaka news is kind of sneaky underrated here. We've seen Zubac play 35 minutes in back-to-back games. He's been good, not great, but I mean, he's capable of 40 plus fantasy points for sure if he's getting 35 minutes.
I like Zubac. I wish they played him. I don't know why Doc Rivers didn't play him more minutes like last season. I like Zubac. I don't hate Zubac.
Yeah, again, we don't know that information yet, and we might not until every other game is locked, right? So you kind of want to have a swap in place, but even Zubac at 4,500 on FanDuel is a fine, like he's an okay play, even if Serge plays. So it's not like the end of the world if you get stuck with him. But we'll see with Ibaka. He's missed a couple games, still questionable with that back tightness. Again, we just don't know. It seems like about a 50-50 to me. But if you wanted to take the gamble on Zubac and maybe leave yourself room to swap around a little bit if the news doesn't break your way, I think that would be a pretty strong approach to this game. Do you have a lean Kawhi or Paul George in this one?
Kawhi or Paul George? Probably Paul George.
Yeah, you get a nice discount from him.
Lean PG.
Yeah, especially on FanDuel. I do like Paul George at that $7,600 price tag. I don't know. I don't have a ton more from this game. Honestly, I don't see myself kind of going with the 2 early games mostly, Golden State, Memphis, and Sacramento, Philadelphia. I think that'll be a common approach, but I do think it's at least my preferred approach. Any final thoughts on this game or on the slate overall?
Yeah, this is one of those slates. Like, don't go overboard with your bankroll. Don't really love it. Not a great tournament slate, in my opinion, at least. Yeah, I don't know. It just for me, like I think like a good way to get different is Grayson Allen down at 3.7. He would be someone I'd be targeting to get away from some of this Golden State chalk and differentiate your build a little bit.
Makes sense. That'll do it for this show. Good luck in all your lineups tonight. I will be back on the show, I believe, same time, same place tomorrow.
Oh, shoot. Yeah, we can take some.
Yeah, do you have the chat up, Bobby?
Yeah, I got the chat up. To even chat, well, I gotta scroll back a little bit.
I don't have it up, so if you want to read some off. Yeah.
You guys can ask questions in the chat if you want. We'll take some questions real quick. I've been taking a few in Discord.
Yeah. Any questions you guys have, throw them in the chat. We'll close out these last few minutes with any questions that you might have.
Thoughts on Dante DiVincenzo? Yeah, he's fine. What's his ownership at? 5'8" is priced. Like I don't love that. I think I would much rather just play Derek White.
DiVincenzo's been really good and playing more minutes, 36, 33, 29 minutes in 3 good games in a row, but 5,800 feels steep to me. I'm on White over DiVincenzo as well.
Yeah. What do you like? What are you doing with Wiggins or Keldon? Like I honestly, if I can find a way not to play Wiggins tonight, I'm probably going to try. I just don't like him. Like that's plain and simple. Like, but it's very difficult to do with his usage rate being what it is. Keldon went off last night. Like I would definitely kind of shy away there. Like I'd much rather play White or DeRozan or Podol for that matter. Like I'm just not going to chase that. I was into the party. I'm not going to be late. Yeah, that's pretty much like my thoughts in terms of that situation.
Yeah, I'm going to play Wiggins, definitely on FanDuel at 5,200. On DraftKings, I personally will probably play him. If you want to fade, I would definitely play Oubre instead. I think one of those two is definitely having a big game. So Oubre and Wiggins, kind of the same price. So you could make that pivot if you want, but I'm certainly in on Wiggins. And then Keldon Johnson, I'm with you on that one. He's a fade for me. I think on FanDuel, it's a little bit tougher given the price point. I mean, 4,800 is very, very nice there, but everybody's a little bit underpriced on FanDuel. I just don't like this matchup for him against the Bucks, so I'm probably fading Keldon Johnson myself.
Yeah, got a Pat Connaughton question. Like if he sees 27 minutes, this game blows out. Like I don't mind Pat Connaughton, but you're obviously, I don't know. He's not someone I'm looking to, but if you're trying to get different off the like Golden State chalk,
he just doesn't have enough upside for me.
It's not like something I love.
Yeah, like even if he goes off, like for him, it's going to be like 30 fantasy points, which obviously that's very good at 4,200.
I'd take that on the slate, but
for sure you would, but it's not.
I might rather play like Bobby Portis at 4-4.
Yeah, he's got more upside for sure.
What do you guys think of pairing Simmons and Harris together without bringing it back with a Kings player? So I don't know. You could do that. You don't have to it's a 4-game slate. Like you don't have to bring it back on the smaller slates. Like I like to bring it back on smaller slates, but in NBA, you don't have to bring it back. Like it's not as correlated as other sports.
I'm with you there, especially on a 4-game slate. I don't think you need to, but there's enough good players on the Kings that I would probably choose 1 or 2 guys if I'm playing Simmons and Harris in a tournament.
Brian Forbes revenge, maybe Brian Forbes revenge. There you go. If you play the narrative game, Allen or Poole. I'm going Grayson Allen on that one over Jordan Poole. I like Grayson Allen today. 3-7 versus 5. What is it? 5-1.
5-1, yeah.
So yeah, I'll take my chances.
I don't hate it. I'll lean Poole, but he's going to be way lower. He's going to be way lower owned and cheaper. So I get it. I do totally get it.
But if you're trying to differentiate, I don't hate. That's like why I'm playing Allen in the first place, is trying to get different.
Yep, no problem with that at all.
Who do you think of Harris? I don't mind Harrison Barnes. Think he's a good play. Like he's been good for whatever reason. Luke Walton wants to roll him out, so is what it is.
Yep, I like Barnes as well.
Dwight Howard or Zubac, provided Ibaka's out. Yeah, I would play Zubac over Dwight. I would just wait for the news on that. It's Saturday night though, guys. Like this pretty shitty slate. If you want to go out, get drunk a little, maybe you play that early game,
That always works. Yeah. If Serge sits, I would definitely take Zubac over Howard. And yeah, I think you can wait for that. I think there's a decent chance Serge sits, so I don't mind that. I think you'll get him at lower ownership as well.
Someone asked me in Discord why I like Keldon Johnson. I don't like Keldon Johnson tonight. I don't like the chase. Like he had a good game last night. I don't know.
Sounds like we're both off Keldon Johnson. He's a fine player for sure, but I think he's going to be a little bit too popular for my taste. Anything else?
Hodl or Brook Lopez, and they want to know your play of the day.
Yes, we can do the mom's basement play of the day here. I would go Pirtle over Lopez. Where do you lean there?
I'm with Pirtle over Lopez. I think Pirtle's like my favorite Spur.
Yeah, that makes sense. All All right. Yeah, we can wrap it up there. We'll wrap it up with our plays of the day and we'll get on out of here. So we'll start with my mom's basement play of the day. It's going to be Tobias Harris. I know he seems expensive, 8,800 and 8,300 on FanDuel. I think he might go a little bit over-owned as people try to pay it for Giannis. It's kind of hard to get both, especially on FanDuel. So Tobias Harris, I think they're really going to need his scoring against Sacramento. I don't think Sacramento really has anybody to match up with him whatsoever defensively. So yeah, Tobias Harris, the mom's basement play of the day. What about you, Bobby? What do you got for your play of the night?
Like I said, I'm going Grayson Allen. He'd be probably my low-owned play of the day. And if I was going to go higher up, I don't hate PJ Washington.
Sure.
Someone asked about Lonnie Walker. I haven't. He's another guy. Just add him to the list of guys on the slate I've gotten wrong all year. So I don't know if I'm having any Lonnie Walker. Yeah, that's pretty much it. Thanks for tuning in, guys. Enjoy your Saturday night. Don't go too hard, or just win some. Let's win some money too, as well. I don't know. You want to close this out, DC? I'm horrible at closing stuff out.
You're a good man. Yeah. No, thanks for tuning in as always. We'll be back same time, same place tomorrow. He's Bobby. I'm DC, and we'll check you next time.